Hello guys, David Vose here. What a beautiful day, friends. It's a nice, beautiful summer day. I'm having a wonderful day already. Got my cup of coffee and little birdies are chirping and dogs are sleeping under the house, under the porch. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Friends, I'm going to get right into it. I got a lot to tell you. I want to talk to you today about diet and health again. I have some information that if you watch this video carefully and listen to what I have to say, I think it's going to completely inspire you and give you hope. And I'll bet you've never heard this information before. I guarantee you'll enjoy this video if you're interested in living forever or having better health or curing any disease. We've talked a lot about that in the past, but man, you gotta watch this video. So let me get right into what I want to say. This is just something that the Lord has been sharing with me and helping me to understand over the past weeks and months. Actually, He started helping me understand about health years ago, but I keep learning more and adding to this information, and then having confirmations about certain ways to eat and what we're really supposed to be eating. And I had suspected for a long time that aging was not a thing. That it's, yes, due to the fall, right? Human beings fell. We were spiritual beings and now we're carnal, sold under sin. But we look at that as Christians today and modern men. We look at that concept as though being spiritual and having spiritual bodies of light is something that we just don't have now. And that's going to have to wait. All we got is these mortal, dying bodies, and there's nothing you can do about it, baby. Oh, sure, you can eat right, maybe stave off a disease or two, but you can't stop aging. Well, theoretically and in, practicality-wise, maybe you could not live forever, since the way you could live forever might be out of reach for most people. In other words, it may be too difficult for most of us. And certainly, if you live in a city and you're going to the grocery market, you can just forget about living forever because you're not going to, I guarantee it. Living in the country is not going to be any better if you're still going to the store and getting all your food. Or at least if you don't have this knowledge that we're going to share. So as you know, to start with, we'll just start right off at the beginning. We were made by our Heavenly Father, as we saw the other day. Genesis 1:1 probably should read, our Heavenly Father created the Elohim, or brought forth the Elohim. Not really create, because that's not the right English word to translate those words that are in your Hebrew. So it's not creation, like it just something came up out of nothing. But it is taking what exists and bringing it into the form that you wish. It is through the will and desire, and then the intention and the word and faith. And this is what makes everything. We still have all of that. We don't got to wait for Christ's kingdom to be established worldwide. Christ is living in us. We have that inner Christ, and we have that higher mind. We have to connect with it, and we may not ever connect with it in this life, in these carnal situations, under these circumstances, perfectly. But we can improve this whole thing. If we have enough knowledge, we can improve leaps and bounds. And when it comes to living forever, there is going to be several aspects to it. One is going to have to be, your mind's going to have to get rid of all these negative thoughts. Now, that may be a task too big for most people, but we're going to try, and we're going to make some progress. I've been making a lot of progress, friends. And the result is that I'm living here. I'm living my dream. I'm living what I knew was the right path for all men. And, it took me years, even though I believed in it and wanted it. When I was young, I wanted it, even when I was a young man. But as I got old enough to go out on my own, I couldn't just take off without my family, without my mom. About all I had left was my mother. And then when my daughter came along, I couldn't just take her out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know how. I didn't know where. And I couldn't withstand the loneliness of just me and my daughter. And I didn't want to put her through that. And I didn't have enough faith. And I didn't know what to do. Well, I kept thinking about it and praying about it until the Lord eventually gave me the opportunity to start trying and doing it. So it takes time to get there. I'm not saying it doesn't. But before you even get there, some of that can be remedied if you just start thinking about, okay, let's sell the house in the city, get a place in the country where we can have a garden, and we're in a place where there's fresh air. This isn't easy. You might have to have a lot of money, because you can't find land where there's a running stream. You might have to dig a well. That's going to be a lot of money. So there's a lot of problems. This doesn't mean that it's easy. But here's the way you do it. And this is just the beginning. This is not what I really want to talk about, but this is just the beginnings of what we're talking about. You've got to start with a place where you can be free and absorb the sun and go outside where it's peaceful and listen to the birds chirp and not be stressed out by all the bills. So how do we get there? Well, really the answer is going to be something that will surprise you. You have to have faith. You have to see it happening. You have to dream about it and pray to the Lord and be positive and think positive. And, having that faith makes you positive. If you're going to be down and talking negative and I'll never do it and doggone it and, it just makes me upset and I just don't like this and I don't want to do that and I don't feel good and I don't know how I'm going to overcome all this. My arthritis is kicking up again. You can't do that. I don't care if you do feel arthritis. Stop saying it. Because you got to already know internally that you know why you got arthritis. You know why, at least a little bit. And by the time we're done with this video, you're going to know exactly why you got arthritis and cancer and heart disease and diabetes and everything else. And this disease called aging, which we're going to eradicate. Because it won't take that long if we can just say, I get it. I understand what it is I'm trying to get. And I understand the process. And I'm going to develop the desire. It's going to be lit in me I'm going to kindle that desire and get it going and get it finally to blaze. Give it some air. Put some kindling and some combustible material on there and sit back and you're going to have a fire. Right? It's really pretty simple when you know how to make a fire. And if you don't know how to make a fire, or you're not somewhere where there is firewood and you don't have matches, it could be a problem. But thank goodness this world's not based on that kind of criteria. Everything you need for eternal life is within you. And everything you need will be presented to you. The universe will give it to you. If you just understand that you need these simple things and you trust nature. Now, you don't need to know anything I'm about to tell you about health and what to eat and what it does to your body and why you're aging. If you were just put down into the world and lived in nature, with nature, you would instinctively already know. The bees know where the flower is because it's orange, red, pink, beautiful colors, bright. There is an aroma, there is a fragrance. The bees are drawn to it. They understand what they're supposed to do. They instinctively know how to build their hives. The little mice know how to build their nests. The bird build nests. But the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. We know instinctively, but what's happened is we're living in an unnatural world like a mouse in a cage, and we don't know what to do, and we're dying. We're eating poison. You know what to do. You know it doesn't exist here in the city. Working a 9 to 5 like a slave with all the stress and the bills and never making ends meet and the poison food. You're dying. You're not happy. You just want to go camping. For those of you who just want to go camping, you're halfway there. For those of you who want, taller high heels and more makeup and flashy dresses and push-up bras and sparkles and all these, creams and fragrances in a bottle and dances and parties. Well, you're a long ways from getting to the goal, because the first thing you've got to do is have a love for the truth. You see, that's what the Lord says is going to be the Apostle Paul says will be the criteria. Some will reject the love of the truth, that they might be delivered from the wrath. And by the way, the wrath is every day, every diggity dang dong day. He accuses us day and night before our Father's throne. Day and night, he's accusing you. In this society, in their world, in this fake world. So where's that spiritual world? Our bodies of light that are immortal? They're right here. It's within you. Bodies of light? What does that mean? It means mind. Your mind is making everything around you, including your body. And it's going to have a physical outside layer. You are fine the way you are. The only problem is that you're slowly dying. You're not full of energy and light. You're full of dying because you're eating the poison and you're believing the lies and you're listening and you're full of the lust and you want to go to the parties and you want to put, unnatural things in your mouth because you're addicted to these drugs and these chemicals. Right? It's an abomination. So that's the first thing we got to do. Get you some land. Mostly first get the desire. Get the desire. Dream of camping, not a night on the town. Not a fancy lobster dinner at Red Lobster, right? For $85 a plate or whatever they're charging these days. But just a simple evening on the porch with the sun going down, looking at the beautiful sunset with a cup of herb tea and a diet that we're going to explain to you that will heal you and literally give you eternal life. But here it is. Do you know that the cause of aging is glycation? I don't know if any of you have ever heard this. I think they've hidden it from everybody. What they want you to believe is the cause is disease. Well, disease is a symptom, and the cause is glycation. And we could keep going back. That's just a word, glycation. A process. What causes the glycation? What causes the glycation is the glucose. Glucose. You say, well, plants have glucose. Baby's milk has lactose. Don't we need sugar? Well, babies, when they're born, aren't able to digest food very well. It takes a few months. They begin to learn to digest. And so at that stage, since protein and fibrous plants and The fat that the baby and us human grown-ups need might be in a nut. It might be in some other food. That a baby's stomach might be in meat, but a baby's stomach cannot process. They can't get the fat out of that nut. So the Lord gives them milk. Milk doesn't have the fiber, that's why the baby sometimes has runs and, So since the baby can't get enough energy from the protein and the nuts and stuff, then you're going to have to feed the baby a liquid diet. The Lord provides us with milk. Milk does have lactose, which is a kind of sugar, but it's not really the same kind as glucose or fructose. So when the baby's little, the baby can use sugar because what sugar is for putting on fat. This is what we see in nature, because the berries that grow in the world that have sugar grow from the spring to the summer, where they become ripe. And it's during the summer and late summer that the bears and the other animals, including the humans, eat the berries and foods that have maybe more starch. And that sugar then, for the bears and those animals that got to go in for the winter and hibernate, is going to be used to store fat, because the body turns the glucose into fat. Now, it's okay when you do it that way. Nature provides it that way, because then your cells are brand new. They're just taking brand new glucose, turning it into fat and storing it for energy throughout the winter. During the winter, they're going to more or less fast pretty good, because there's going to be snow on the ground. They can't get that sugar. They won't have any sugar for the entire winter. And a lot of animals like bears won't have hardly anything to eat during the winter. They might go out once in a while. Pretty much they hibernate. So by spring, when they come out of hibernation, they're thin again. So all that stored fat is gone. So you can't compare or understand these berries in nature as the Lord is giving us all this sugar. We should eat berries all the time. Winter, summer, spring, and fall. And I don't mean just berries. I mean like any kind of fruits and starchy vegetables like potatoes. We should not be eating them because of that sugar content. It's too much. So the body can eat sugar. It's in nature. But it needs to be in a ratio with the fat where you're getting way more fat than sugar. And the reason for that is because when you eat in a natural diet that you find in nature, you find nuts, beans, some berries, but like I said, mainly in summer for hibernation. But even the berries that you eat in nature have so much fiber and so little sugar. There's not that much sugar in strawberries. There's not enough sugar to kick you out of ketosis if you're eating right. Or blueberries, or the berries that you find in nature, gooseberries around here, the boysenberries and different things you find in nature. There's very little sugar. I mean, not enough to say, oh, my body needs energy. Your body can get energy either from sugar or from fat. If you're primarily eating sugar and starchy vegetables, and the other thing that people eat is white flour. Again, it's just this chemical that causes the same problem. The glucose and stuff that's in all of the grains, that's in all of the white sugars, the corn syrup, the starchy vegetables, that's almost all people eat. So your body is saying, okay, I need energy. What you're giving me is sugar, and it uses the sugar, speeds up your metabolism. And what's going on, since it's so unnatural, in nature you wouldn't be able to find all that kind of sugar. So it's so unnatural, basically it's called a poison now. That food that you think is food, it's not, it's poison. And your body's a brilliant machine. It says, okay, it sends a signal to the pancreas and says, we got all kind of poison going on in this body. And the body sends out what in our society we're told they call it insulin. And we've heard a lot about insulin. But we're told that insulin is just a natural thing the body does. You're supposed to eat sugar. You're supposed to eat it regularly. Every diggity dang dong day, eat a bunch of sugar. Starchy vegetables. That's what we eat. Potatoes. Right? Fruit. Bananas. Just high fructose corn syrup. Cereal. Pastas. Everything we're donuts. It's all pizza. It's all this sugar and starch. So, since that's all you've got, it's a poison, but that's all you got. The body says, we got to get rid of it. We got to get rid of it. Not only are you eating it, but you're eating it in excess in the sense of calories. You don't even need to eat that much. You're gaining weight because not only are you eating too much, you're a glutton, because that sugar is addictive and you crave it throughout the day. It's an addiction. It's a poison. So insulin is not something your body's supposed to be making all the time and sending into your bloodstream. It does so because it's trying to prevent you from dying. So you don't want insulin. It's not like, oh man, insulin's fine if it's just a little bit, You're supposed to eat a combination of things that are sweet and fat, right? That's what we're told. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Well, people eat potatoes and starchy foods, but they rarely eat spinach and broccoli and cabbage, which you can eat and stay in ketosis because there may not be a lot of fat in these foods, but there isn't enough sugar to kick you out of ketosis when the biggest part of your diet is going to be a fat-based diet. So what you do in nature is you eat a lot of nuts and foods like eggs and meat, fish and fowl, birds. Yes, even Jesus ate fish and birds because the Nazarite vow was made by eating a pigeon. And they could eat fish, as Jesus did. So fish is probably the best diet you could have because it has protein and has a lot of this amazing omega-3 fat that you need. Walnuts and acorns and wild nuts and pistachios and things you can get from nuts has all this omega-3 and oil. That should be 60% of your diet is oil and fat. So milk that a baby drinks is a lot of fat, but it also has sugar because that baby's just a baby and it needs to build up fat. Babies are little fat little things, little roly-polies. But when they get older, it's only going to be 6 months or a year that baby's going to be doing that. Then you wean him off of that and you give him the meat, the Apostle Paul says. We're no longer babes, but we gotta mature and eat the meat, the fish, and the eggs, which Jesus said was a perfect food. The eggs have the perfect cholesterol and the omega-3. You need to eat a diet that is primarily fat. You will keep your body in ketosis. You would stay in ketosis if you ate only natural food you picked from the wild, because any food in the wild, as we've said, like berries, don't have enough sugar to get you, to supply your body with all the energy it needs. So you go out and eat a whole bunch of nuts and you make all these nuts and grains and put them together and grind them up, natural grains, and make bread. Okay, you put a bunch of butter in it. That's why you got to milk the cows to get the butter and the cheese. The cream doesn't have any sugar in it. It's just fat. and you add the cream and the butter to your baking, and what you make a loaf, and it's made from cream and butter and nuts and grains, not these modern hybrid starchy grains. So you're eating mostly fat, and you're eating a lot of eggs. You put eggs in your bread too. And yeah, you throw some raisins in there, or some blueberries, or some strawberries on top. Those wild strawberries and blueberries, and even store-bought ones, have so much fiber, and they don't have enough sugar. You can eat a handful of berries, but you're going to primarily be eating this huge meal of a big fish, a big piece of bread that's made out of nuts, butter, and eggs. It's going to be a ketosis diet. Now, you say, yeah, but if I eat one berry, I'm going to go out of ketosis. Not so. That's not what ketosis means. It means that you intake through your mouth 70, 80% foods that are fat oriented, that have mostly fat. And just a little bit of sugar might be okay. A few berries with it. There might be a little bit of sugar in the beans. There might be a little bit of sugar in some of the vegetables. Very little. But it's not going to be enough to counter all this fish and eggs and cream and cheese and nuts. And I know a lot of you think, oh, I can't eat that. My body can't digest that. I'm a diabetic. I can't do that. Well, I will prove to you over the course of this video that you can. If you've never done it before and your stomach is ruined, it's going to be difficult at first, but you've got to fix your stomach. And you will fix your stomach. You could do it through fasting and different ways, depending on your health and circumstances. But you can get there within a week or so. You get your body to go into ketosis, and then it is impossible for the insulin to rise at that point once you're in ketosis. And after you've done it at first, for some long days or weeks, I don't know exactly how long you will need to do it, but at least for some weeks until you can start tweaking this a little bit. For some period of time until you get used to it. Then you can, at that point, because you're on a permanent basis eating a diet mostly fat, you can add a little sugar in the form of a few berries like strawberries and blueberries and honey and pure maple syrup, a little in your cake or something. But it's not going to be more than a few percentage points of the whole overall diet. It's going to be mostly protein and fat. So that little bit of sugar won't throw you out of ketosis because of the fact that it's not enough sugar for you to maintain your energy. Your body's going to try and get energy somewhere else because that's not enough. So it's going to continue to burn fat. Now, what that's going to do, and especially if you eat that way on a regular basis, permanently, then you're not just going to be doing this to heal your body for a month and to get back into sync, and then you go back to your donuts again and start gaining weight again. But if you do this permanently, then all the benefits of healing that you get through fasting and intermittent fasting and, not being a glutton, in other words, and eating to live and not living to eat, acquiring habits, good habits, healthy habits that you will eventually get accustomed to. Don't you worry. It's going to be tough the first few days. You might want to start the process fasting for about 4 or 5 days, or as long as you can, with eating nothing but water. Once you've gotten your body into the state, here's what happens. Your LDL drops, your HDL goes into place, your glycemic index gets into the green area where it is supposed to be, your cholesterol goes down, your blood pressure goes down. You're now immediately searching, your body is searching for energy, and it's burning the fat around your belly, which is so important. We're going to get to that here in a minute. Because when you eat the sugar, the glucose, it's a poison. It immediately is stored in your liver and in your muscle. And that then, if you do it on a long term, more than a few months, and you don't lose it again, and when you're after you're hibernated and you get thin again, if you're not doing that, then it's stored in your liver, and your liver then can't function properly. Once the liver is full, then it starts storing it in your belly. And if you have any kind of a belly on you, fat content around your waist, and little handles around your side, then you know beyond a doubt that your liver is not in optimum health. It is full of glucose. And this is not just, oh, well, I've got glucose in there. Okay, that's where it's supposed to be. That's where the body stores it. No. It's poison, and the liver is trying to save your life. The pancreas rises your insulin. So when that insulin goes down, what that means is there's no sugar in the bloodstream. And then immediately the liver can heal. That fat is immediately storing the fat that's storing the sugar is going to be eaten up. It's going to be burned as energy and removed from the liver. And once the liver, now see, everything in your body heals at a different rate. The body is a master at healing you. Because the liver is the most important organ in your body, it's more important than your heart. Well, it depends. If you didn't have a heart, you'd die immediately. But if you didn't have a liver, you'd die immediately. But the heart is just a muscle. And as long as it's not broken, it can continue to function. But we do regenerate our heart twice during our lifetime. And that's under these conditions where we're not healthy and we're not regenerating very well. But the liver needs to be there in order to get the blood right, and the fluids and digestion, and to make all the decisions about healing, so that if the heart does need to heal, it needs the liver to be like the boss. In Chinese medicine, the liver is considered the most important part. Even in the Bible talks about the liver as the seat of our innermost being. So the liver is very important. Not to say that the other organs aren't important. Your stomach is an organ. Your skin is an organ. Your eyes are, all these are necessary and important. But everything depends on that liver. And so the body knows that. And the liver regenerates probably faster than anything else in your body. So if, for instance, you had to remove like 90% of your liver, within the first 24 hours, the liver cells, if you were eating right, and we're going to show you how to do that, if you were eating right and living right, your liver, and even if you're not, this is pretty much what happens. We can't even imagine what would happen if we literally ate right every day. You might say, oh, I know somebody ate right. They just ate vegetables. They don't know what eating right is yet. They've got to watch this video. You've got to have a fat-based diet. You can't eat sugar on any regular basis other than a few berries, as we've said. And you need to understand this whole process. Keep your body in this ketosis. If you do that, your liver is going to be healthy. And so, the liver, within the first 24 hours, the cells begin to divide, replicate, and begin to regenerate. After about a week, you can literally see the volume of the size of the liver growing. New cells form and it starts growing. Brand new liver. It's regenerating. After a month of this, 1 month, 30 days, the liver begins to get back to its original size. Within a month. After 6 months, your liver will be in complete and absolutely perfect condition, fully regenerated. So now think about this. Your body can regenerate a new liver every 6 months or less. And it does. And if you live to be, say, 60 years old, then you're going to have like 120 new livers throughout your lifetime. 120. If you live to be 100, you're going to have 200 livers. And that's from the scientific information that we're getting when we're looking at people that aren't really in good health. If you were in really good health to start with, your liver may very well just replace itself about once every couple of months on a regular basis. You got a brand new perfect liver. And this is so important because if you did have that good liver, then your heart would also be perfectly pumping and perfectly well. And you might regenerate your heart more than 2 times in a lifetime, which, what is a lifetime, right? They're talking about 60, 70 years. You're going to be living hundreds of thousands of years. So you'll regenerate your heart many times. So what about the kidneys? Well, if you look it up, the scientists will say, well, your kidneys can't really be regenerated very well. There's these things called nephrons that you can't get them back. You can't really, a little, they go, yeah, a little, maybe, you can heal it a little, but really, if you've lost your kidney, you've lost your kidney. We just cut it right out, and we don't need that no more, right? Oh, looks like that gallbladder's sick. We better cut that out. Oh, look at their tonsils are swollen. We'll take those out. They're idiots. The kidney does regenerate, but it only regenerates if your liver's in good condition. But your liver's going to be, if you're following this diet that I'm talking about. It's going to be, because it's going to be, after 6 months on this diet, your liver's going to be in perfect health. You're going to be eating 1 meal a day. You're not going to be a glutton. You're going to get your weight down. You're going to get rid of all the fat that's going to be eaten up, gone. That is excess. The fat's going to be used to store the glucose. You're not going to have all that glucose extra. It's going to be burned up because you won't have enough glucose to store. It'll all be burned. And therefore, it will not store it in the fat in your liver. And therefore, your liver will be functioning perfectly and regenerating perfectly. And then it will your gut organ will send out, it will be well too, because the liver's well, and it will then begin to make stem cells. And this is a proven fact. That your body, if you fast for 4 days and don't eat anything and just drink water, within 4 days, your gut starts producing stem cells and healing. So, after a certain period of time, when you're not getting enough glucose or sugar to get your energy and your body's having to use fat to get energy, it is going to clean up your body, remove all that fat. Your liver's going to be functioning properly. Then you're going to constantly, on a daily basis, be producing stem cells. And that means that if anything ever happens that you need to repair something, or on a regular basis, just ever so often, the body will repair these things. I don't know how long it takes to regenerate your kidney or your pancreas and these kinds of things. But all of your body will be fully and completely regenerated within a few months' time. And you will stay regenerated. And your mind will function. It will repair the core of your brain. It will cure Alzheimer's. It will cure diabetes, I guarantee. So your insulin levels then drop and they don't come back. Because you don't have any poison in your body. It's only there if you accidentally got too much sugar for a while. Maybe at the end of summer, just for a few weeks, you ate a bunch of sugar. And your body starts storing it in your gut so that you can hibernate. That's okay, because you're going to fast and get rid of it. So it's a natural process, but it's a temporary thing. You're not supposed to have elevated insulin all the time, which people in modern society do. And when they do that, as soon as your insulin level rises, friends, as soon as it rises, you're already going to start getting high blood pressure immediately. That's how you cure high blood pressure. That's how you cure diabetes. You cannot have diabetes. You cannot have diabetes if you have no sugar to metabolize. You can't. And if you go for a few weeks or so or months without this insulin spiking, then you're healing your liver, and then whatever's wrong, your pancreas isn't functioning properly, where it's going to regenerate, and you're not going to have diabetes. I guarantee it. I promise you. You're not going to have dementia. You're not going to have cancer. If there are cancer cells in your body, a cyst or anything else, after several months of this diet, your ketosis state will remove all these poisons and damage cells, because that's the first thing that happens in ketosis. Your body begins to eat and burn up damaged cancerous cells, and any cell that's not performing correctly or is damaged is gone. So the mitochondria are immediately healed. You're no longer hypoglycemic, which leads to the thing that we started off talking about at the beginning. Glycation, which causes age. Age is not a natural thing. It is a result of eating this sugar that your body does not want. Is a poison that raises your insulin, that stores this poison then so it doesn't kill you, hoping that you're going to be smart enough to hibernate or get rid of it or fast or something to get rid of it. But in the meantime, it stores it for you in the liver and in your muscle. And then when that's full, you start getting a belly. And if you got a belly, you got a damaged liver. So if you don't remove that glucose in your fat content in your liver and your muscle and in your belly, then your body's full of this glucose stored all throughout your body. And it's the glucose that causes this glycation. What glycation is can be demonstrated or explained in a parable. You take a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner and you buy it at the store. It's wrapped in cellophane or whatever, and you unwrap it and you pick it up, and it's pretty heavy because it's turkey. And you look and it's all white. You start cutting it open. Maybe you want to make a hole so you can get some stuffing in there. And you notice that the meat is all very pink, white and pink. So you butter it and you put all your spices and herbs and you stick it in the oven. And after a period of time, you notice that the turkey is no longer white. And when it's fully cooked, it turns brown or a darker color. There's no pink left in it. And what you're doing is called glycation. The glucose that's in that turkey is turning to a brown cooked color. It's no longer alive. It's no longer supple, but it's glycated. It's dead. You're killing it. You're cooking it. Human beings that go through their life eating sugar, which is being burned constantly throughout your life, your body is slowly cooking and will only live 60, 70 years. Without some fasting and improvement, you're going to live a short lifetime. You're going to literally get to a place where you're not young and supple and pink. Your skin will begin to wrinkle, your hair will fall out, and you will die. When you toast bread, it turns brown. That browning is what you're doing. You're cooking yourself. If you do not want to glycate, and that's a medical term, that's the term they use, glycate. You've got to stop being hyperglycemic or hypoglycemic. You've got to be free from that insulin spike up and down. You've got to be free from all this glucose stored in your body. It's a poison. It doesn't need to be in there. And it won't be in there if you eat some berries in your life. But your diet is 60% fat, 40% protein. Yeah, you could throw a handful of berries in there or some spinach and broccoli. Broccoli and stuff is necessary. You can't just eat meat. You do need vegetables, meat and vegetables. But the vegetables you need to eat are wild vegetables and nuts and wild ancient grains, natural grains, amaranth and chickseed and flaxseed, and you can use some barley. You can go get some ancient grains at the store, the organic ancient grains, and throw some of that in there, but you don't need it. You can just use walnuts and pecans and acorns, and you can process the acorns. They're free. Go out your back door and pick some. Soak them in a bucket overnight and pour off the water, and then you can eat them. Do that maybe a couple of times. And you can grind that up and make flour, and that is healthy. It's got the omega-3. It's got a lot of fat content and almost no sugar at all. It's okay to have a little sugar in your diet, but it's going to be compared to the rest of your diet, very small amounts. It won't be enough for your body to get energy from. So your body will have to start burning fat. And that will lower your blood sugar. That will lower your blood pressure. That will lower your triglycerides. That will bring the LDL and all this into perfect balance. Your insulin levels will be down and they will not rise their ugly head. And if occasionally, once in a while, you need your insulin to remove this too much glucose because you fell off the horse and ate a donut, well, that's fine. Just maybe once in a while, maybe on Christmas, you can eat a big pie and all the, fixings and donuts. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do that. But if you want to live forever, you must stay in a state of ketosis the rest of your life, almost the rest of your life. And then your body will not brown and cook and die. Now, last part of this. You might say, okay, Dave, this sounds great. I acknowledge that if you eat right, you might be able to cure cancer. I acknowledge that if you eat right, you might be able to get rid of the diabetes. Some of you won't even acknowledge that because you don't want to understand this. Nobody's ever done it that I know of. Well, you've never heard anybody who knew this information and followed it properly. Well, that'd be pretty hard, Dave. It's not hard. If you love the truth, not just seek the truth, but you're never going to find the truth unless you love it. And if you have that love and that desire, you're going to find it. And when you find the truth, you're going to want to emulate it. You're going to want to be out in nature because it's going to be your passion. You're going to have to wean yourself from these addictions, whether they be physical food addictions or laziness or great deal of pleasure that you think is so necessary in your life. I crave peace. I've gotten to the point where I don't like loud parties and things that you might associate with bad behavior. I don't even like to watch it. I mean, I watch a YouTube video once in a while and I'll see something like that and I can't stand to watch it. And not because I'm better than you, because you become accustomed to what is good. You only develop cravings for something that's bad for you if you keep stuffing it down your throat. It's some sort of a disease that happens because it's like with pain. You have pain receptors that swell up and they're inflamed, and then it creates pain, and then you get a drug that shrinks those little receptors, and it makes you feel better. And you can't get out of the cycle. The way to get out of the cycle is not be inflamed, not to have this these pain receptors engorged and poisoned. They'll go down on their own, and you'll have a natural high and good feeling. You won't need the chemicals and the drugs to keep unnaturally causing these spikes. You eat right, you'll be high all the time. I don't do the weed or the pot as much as I used to. I don't do it hardly at all. I haven't had any of it for a month or so, because I find that it also can be addictive. You have to have a natural balance, friends. Those kinds of things that cause euphoria were meant to be used on special occasions, not every day. But you might say, take a look at somebody who's 60 years old. They got gray hair. Their hair's falling out. Their skin's dry. They got no eyelashes. Big belly. There's no way you can solve that. You can't cure all that. You're not going to start growing hair at 60 or growing new teeth or fingernails that are brittle now. And almost no one, I don't think, has ever reversed their gray hair. You hear some people say, I reversed my gray hair. But they're just saying that they got a couple of gray strands and then they put a cream on and But I'm saying, let's say you've gone gray and you're bald and your nails are brittle and you're 80 years old. Are you going to be able to reverse that? It's going to take a lot of effort. But the effort, and here's the good news, will only be the same for you to cure that as it will be for somebody who is going to do this and they still have their hair. It doesn't matter when you start this. People in their 20s are eating wrong and they're addicted, and it's going to be difficult for them to start this process and this diet. This diet will cure everything in your body. Here's the reason why it won't cure the gray hair immediately. Because, as we said, everything in your body takes a different period of time to heal. If you cut your skin, your outer skin, the body is made so that the blood will clot pretty much anywhere in your body almost immediately, within 5 minutes. Because you must stop the bleeding quickly, and the body knows that. So that's going to happen. Even if you had a heart attack or an artery tears, it may feel like you're going to die, unless, of course, you're so unhealthy that your whole artery just explodes and you die on the spot. Then you're not going to be able to do anything about that. You're going to be dead. But if you just have a little rip, you go to I don't know, my heart hurts a little. They're like, oh yeah, you got a rip we got to cut you open, take out your heart and put a pig's valve in there. Don't do it. That's a lie. All you need to do is understand that your artery is just like your skin. It's going to clot, stop bleeding. You're going to rest. You're going to eat right. You're going to fast. You're going to do whatever you got to do to get your liver healed, so that then your liver will begin to heal it. You'll get a new heart. It'll regenerate the skin, the outer part of the heart, even though the whole heart takes half your life to replace. You get 2 hearts in a normal unhealthy person gets 2 hearts in their lifetime. You wait long enough, it's going to regenerate anyway that way. But here's the thing. Usually these tears are on the outside. You're not going to rip the whole thing in half. It's just going to be a little cut on the artery. And there's going to be a lot of cholesterol and build up, and then you might get a blocked artery, that kind of thing. But that'll be healed too as soon as the liver is healed, which you do within 6 months. You get the stem cells. You'll replace anything and everything in your body, and all the arteries and the clogged artery, all that's going to be healed. But it happens at its own order. So the outer skin heals first because you can't bleed out. An internal injury may take longer. If you look at a bruise on your body, you notice that the bruise might stay there for several days or even weeks until it goes away, depending how deep it is. So it takes longer for that. Your organs have to heal fast. Your gut can heal very fast because it's very important if you stop immediately doing the bad things and do the good things. But your hair takes a long time, because think about how long it takes for you to get gray hair, for you to get the glycation all the way so that you're now turning wrinkled. The wrinkles will go away. That gray hair will go away, but it's going to be the last thing to heal. Your body's got to heal the liver. It's got to heal the kidneys. It's got to heal the heart. It's got to heal the tissue. It's got to heal the brain. It's got to heal all of the muscle function, the joints, the marrow. Everything's got to get healed. The body knows how to conserve energy. And when everything else is healed, then it will turn to turning your hair follicles to growing again and in the right color format. And your glycation will deteriorate and your skin will become supple again. There will not be any wrinkles, but this is going to take perhaps years. Continuing the diet that I'm suggesting, you do this. I don't know how long it'll take because I haven't done it long enough to tell you. But I can tell you this. I'm 63 years old. And I do not look 63. And I haven't eaten perfectly and didn't know all of this most of my life. So I'm a work in progress, but I can guarantee that if you start doing these things, it immediately shows results. You start seeing your skin change immediately. But I don't believe that all your wrinkles and your hair gray and all that stuff's going to go away for months and months and months and months until everything else in your body is healed. And I don't know how long it will take. It might be that it will take as long as it took to deteriorate it. You know, you start growing old, say, from the time you're 30, and you start getting gray hair around the time you're, 55, 60? Depends on how bad you're glycating. How much sugar you're eating, how fat you are, how much belly fat, and how damaged your liver might have been. It's not about genetic things, friends. Forget that. But the only genetic things is that some people are genetically disposed to have black hair, some brown, some red, some blonde. And perhaps you might, because of your parents' habits, fall into certain domestic habits that cause certain things. And there might be some lack of activating certain genes because of certain long habits that your family line has gone through. If your family always sits around eating and they're always overweight, then they're going to have a predisposition to certain illnesses. Not necessarily all genetic. But you will eventually become young again, and I do believe you could live forever, because just think about what I'm saying. If poison causes death, then don't eat the poison. You don't die. You get it? And if we know that aging, and scientists will tell you that if you ask them point blank, ask AI and they'll tell you that glycation is the cause of aging. And they might come up with all kinds of other things that says causes aging. But all of them are only symptoms to the initial thing of what you're putting in your mouth. Eat the right diet, the natural diet of nuts and fish and butter and cheese and broccoli and vegetables that are the healthy kind of vegetables that don't have a lot of sugar, the natural kinds of healthy vegetables. You eat that and you're going to feel better, and you're going to heal all your diseases, and everybody knows it. And the disease called aging is the culmination of all those diseases, which all happens because you put foods that are not food in your body, and all of those foods that you're putting in your body that are bad for you, whether it's white flour, white sugar, processed, any of, poisons, the chemicals, it's all because your body can't process this sugar. And then it makes you hypoglycemic, and then it goes into diabetes, which is all going to be reversed as you go back to eating the natural diet. Now, if some of you want to try this and start doing this, and you've not practiced this in any way, shape, or form, you're overweight, you've got diabetes, you've been diagnosed with some other disease, or you got brain fog, or just lack of energy, and your eyes are going bad, and your hair is going gray, and you're just depressed, and everything else, don't you worry. I will tell you the simplest way to get to where you need to be. You can't just start doing it tomorrow. You can't just stop all the things that are bad for you in a day, and do everything right. First, try to develop a love for the truth, seek it, believe in it, pray. But here's the diet that I would recommend. If you can't do better than this, then do this. In fact, this is just about as good as you can get, but it might offend a few people out there because I'm going to say bacon. The reason why I'm going to say you should eat bacon and eggs for a couple of months until you can, and you can add broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and spinach and a lot of other different things and nuts. But we're going to make this simple. You're going to fast to start with for as long as you can. This is going to be the most difficult part. For those of you who've never fasted, it may be very difficult. But the best thing you could do is at least fast for 4 or 5 days, only drinking water, or you could also drink herbal tea. But don't put the sugar in it, and you can use heavy whipping cream because there's no sugar in that, and it's fat, and that's what you're going to be doing, is eating a fat-based diet. But while you're fasting for the 4 or 5 days, at least 2 or 3 days, you're not going to eat the cream in your tea or coffee. You're just going to preferably just drink water, maybe a glass of tea. If you can't quite get through one night and you want something, get you some herbal tea. Do that for at least 2 days, 3 or 4 or 5 days, preferably 5. Then I want you to go get, if you don't have your own chickens, find somebody on your block that's got chickens that produce eggs. They're free range, their own household chickens that are running around their yard. They might sell you a dozen eggs for $5 or something. Start buying them from them. If you can't, then go to the store and get regular eggs. Free range if you can, organic if you can. But when you're dealing with chickens that are at the store, I think pretty much all the eggs are about the same. But get you some eggs, the best kind you can, and get you cartons of them, because you're going to be eating them for a while, only them. And the easiest thing for most people is bacon. Bacon has a lot of fat. It is, yes, some people don't want to eat pork, but if that's the case, you can use chicken wings or something. But get you some chicken or some bacon, preferably fish. But remember, we're just starting. We're just trying to get there. So to start with, I'm just saying this is a way to get your body in ketosis and to enjoy it and to do it. If you're not enjoying it, if you can't do it, it's not going to do you any good to try it. And most people can look forward to that bacon and eggs every night. And here's the thing, only eat at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, at first, it may be very difficult for you, but that's why you want to fast for 4 or 5 days, because you need to get acclimated to not being hungry and get rid of some of these addictions. Once you get used to only eating one meal a day, intermittent fasting is what they call it. It gives your stomach at least 16, 18 hours to not have to digest food. And it's going to really help your health. So you can start making stem cells and getting your blood pressure and all of these, as soon as you start doing this, you're not eating any sugar at all for the first few weeks at all. And you're literally going to go into ketosis, cure the diabetes, and everything else is going to happen right away. You're going to start losing weight. Once the liver is completely free of all this glucose stored in it, because you've gotten rid of the belly fat, and that's going to take a process of several months of doing this diet of just bacon and eggs, which you'll start incorporating, cabbage and broccoli with it, and, some vegetables that You can look up yourself to see which ones you can use. But if they don't have a lot of sugar and they have a lot of fiber, look on the internet and find out which of the vegetables are low in the glycemic index. So, for instance, potatoes are high. You don't want to eat those. Sweet potatoes are lower, and you could eat a sweet potato once in a while or half of one or something. But you don't want to eat starchy foods primarily. You can eat broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and spinach and kale and all those kinds of things. Onions. But don't worry about eating some of that. Put it on your food for taste, for fiber, and for that kind of thing. Because you need fiber. You can't just eat meat and eggs. You don't have enough fiber. But for the first few days, just eat bacon and eggs to get you on course. You'll start looking forward to that bacon and egg meal at 5 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the evening. It's best to eat it early in the evening. Get used to that, because that way when you're sleeping at night, you can rest, because you don't have to digest your food while you're sleeping. And it conserves energy so you can rest. And while you're resting, that's when you're doing your healing. This is going to, after about, well, that's why you do one of the reasons you do the 4 or 5 day fast, because at that point, you're starting to produce stem cells so that you can go to work healing your body. But you're not going to really start healing everywhere and feeling like $1 million until you get all that fat off your belly and it's removed from your liver. So once you start eating that fat and that glucose is taken off, that poison's getting out of your body, your liver will heal first. It will get rid of it out of your liver first so that your liver can start repairing. Then it'll get out of your muscles all throughout your body. You won't have arthritis. That'll be the first thing to go away. You won't have any arthritis. And it'll heal your gut. And you won't have the bad indigestion. You'll notice that you'll have a lot of, you'll begin to notice a lot of flatulation, because your gut's healed and you got bacteria and you're digesting. And you're like, what? Yeah, you're supposed to fart once in a while. If you're not farting, it's probably because your gut is all screwed up. So you'll eat broccoli, beans, you're going to have gas. All right? But that is a natural part of life, my friends. If you're passing gas, your gut's probably in better shape than it was before. And it's going to heal itself. You'll be able to digest the food properly. And then your gut's going to start producing the stem cells. And it may take months and months and months to get all the way to your hair, your nails, and the wrinkles. But that'll come. You got to be persistent and live this diet for the rest of your life, my friends. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you have a wonderful evening. You know the Lord loves you. Just go to Him with all your problems. And, you don't have to have a formal prayer to pray. We must pray continually. Let your mind constantly be happy and praising the Lord. We enter into His gates with praise, right? We enter into His temple with thanksgiving. And this is how we get in that state of mind where we just put all our cares upon the Lord, and all those things are added to us that we need, and we are going to get taken care of. The Lord loves us. We'll see you guys tomorrow. His grace will be with you. We'll see you. Have a good one.